Okay, so we've looked at the Phaedo. We're almost at the end. We've got the death scene to finish. And let's just take stock of what we've done. And let me make a few comments about how to do philosophy, because this is an example of how philosophy should be done. So we're looking at the outline, and you might remember Phaedo starts out with a preliminary scene, and then this first discussion about death being a blessing, and that leads to the problem, can the soul survive death? And we saw there was some arguments presented for that, and then some objections raised, and those objections were looked at, dealt with, responded to. So if we abstract from all this and generalize, we get this kind of a procedure suggested for how to do philosophy. Start with a thesis statement, what you want to prove. For example, the soul will survive death. Present your argument. Remember, arguments are reasons for why we believe the thesis are true. They should be reasons for why anybody should accept the thesis. Raise objections to the argument. Don't just stop at the argument. It just simply sits as an argument. It's good to have an argument, but you want to go a little further and attack the argument, push it to see how it's going to see if it's going to hold up. So that's what an objection does. Raises some sort of a question or problem with the argument, not with the thesis statement, but with the argument. Essentially, you're saying the argument's not going to work. And then respond to those objections. And an argument is a good argument, because that's what we really want, good arguments, if it can respond to good objections. So we could say about this argument of Plato's, it's a good argument because it has objections that it can answer. Now, of course, better or best, right? A good argument, depending on the strength of the objections and the strength of the responses. There's lots of things to be said about that, and those are the sorts of things that you want to start thinking about as you start thinking about this argument. Okay, but come back to see where we have arguments, we have objections, responses. We'll see this over and over again. Sometimes a little bit of a variation on a theme, and I think this is a good thing for you to bring to your own papers when you're presenting your own arguments, right? Arguments, objections, responses.